Welcome back for round 4 of the PDGA Championships from Emporia, Kansas. This is Jomez Productions exclusive MPO lead card footage brought to you by Innova Discs. I'm Steve Hill, alongside me is Nate Sexton, and Nate, we're moving over to the Emporia Country Club today.
Yeah, another look at the Country Club. Ought to be a really interesting round.
And let's see what we have on the scorecard. I tend to recognize that guy in the end there. It looks like McBeasy and the Flatbill boys brought along their manager for this round.
I think they may have broken up, actually. I'm not sure.
Let's see what they say about that before the round.
It's definitely be aggressive. I can't make really any mistakes out there. I need to get, every birdie that I have, every opportunity that I give myself, I have to make the putt. So, 9 back with so much OB, it's not as, I guess, crazy as it sounds to come back from that, but I just can't have any bad mistakes out there. A missed putt here and there, it's all right, but no major mistakes.
I'm just stick to my game plan. I've said it all week, and I'm just going to continue to say it. For me, I don't really care what anyone else is shooting or doing. If I play my game and play that way I've been playing, that's all that matters coming down the stretch.
There's only probably 2 holes that I'm not really trying to birdie. Maybe hole 18 and 3. I think the rest are all kind of like attackable, and if I get a great drive on either of those, I'll try to birdie those as well.
Nice. Good luck today.
Thanks. All right, let me throw it back to my favorite announcer, Nate in the booth. Oh, man. Wow, that actually means a lot to me. Thanks.
Well, let's take a look at hole 1 here and what we're going to have in store.
Yeah, hole 1 again. Big hyzer shot is going to be the main play here. Try to get out and over the trees and bring it back inbounds.
Now, we're getting to the point in the tournament where you've got to wonder, with the gaps that are on the scoreboard, if you're going to see some of these guys make some moves, is this the place where you can start to do it?
Yeah, I mean, this is a hole you can certainly attack, and you can kind of expect Rick, I think in the position he's in the lead, to play probably a little bit safer because he's going to make sure that he's in bounds, where other players can maybe take a little bit more risk and go for the pin.
You see those clouds, they look a little imposing. Rick brings up the stiletto, very overstable.
Yeah, that's really how you want to play it. Right in the middle.
Nice and safe.
Next up, from Grass Valley, California, the 2009 USBGC champion.
Nico on the lead card yet again. He has put together a solid tournament so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll see what he has in store, though. He does at some point need to start trying to make a move here if he wants to stay in contention.
Almost certainly going to be another big hyzer here. Swinging out over the trees. Really just got to worry a little bit about the wind. You can't let it lift and go be left. The other mistake you could make is hanging it out right.
And he is in that bush there. That's gonna be trouble on the way out. He does look a little frustrated about that as we look at Paul McBeth and what he has on tap today.
Yeah, I think that bush can be a little tricky, but you're so close to the pin. I have yet to see anyone really stymied by it. I think everyone's able to get up to the pin from there.
And it's interesting. They put a rubber tee pad down here on the concrete. Does that throw you guys off at all when you're out there going from, because the rest of it's pretty much concrete, right?
Yeah, but you're going from grass to concrete, so it doesn't throw us off. I think it's good that they have it because this is not a textured concrete at all. It's like a swimming pool.
Yeah, it's
deck.
right near a swimming pool there. And let's see what Paul has. He unleashes a huge drive.
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
He just flirts with the OB, and it looks like he gets the seal of approval there from a fan.
A young fan busting loose.
Yeah. Now, Nate, what are you throwing here?
I got a PD2, looking to kind of cut through the wind. I'm trying to be a bit aggressive here, and you can trust me when I talk about strategy because I know this guy pretty well.
Of course.
I threw it out over the trees. I thought it was good out of my hand, but
now what? Yeah, it didn't fight back enough there at the end. Is that?
Yeah, just barely didn't make it. I think it was about 6 inches out of bounds. Just was a little too low, I guess.
Nice recovery on the upshot, though. Was that one of those Firebirds?
It was.
And Rick's just gonna go with his safe approach that he's been taking this whole event.
Yeah, happy to card a par. Hard to really make an aggressive run.
Nico's over there. Sorry to cut you off. He's over there in the bushes.
Oh yeah.
And
again,
he's able to run it.
Easy enough.
Yeah. We'll see what Paul can do here. This would be for a birdie. And he gets it.
Nice. Yeah, rare birdie on hole 1.
Well, that's kind of the start that he needs here. He's got to, at some point, start to chip away at Ricky's lead.
Yeah, really. I mean, birdies and eagles, that's the only path to catching up to Rick. And on a hole like that where it's kind of more of a bonus birdie, that's the best place you're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, and especially the way Rick's been playing it, he's going with that safer layup drive in the beginning. As much as you can call a drive a layup.
Yeah, as he should.
Now you're going to take a bogey there, correct?
Bogey 4.
And let's look at our U-Disc scorecard. Paul's going to take the lone 2 there. He's still got some work to do. He is 8 behind Wysocki overall, and Nikko's right there with him. And we'll see what these guys can do today. And we'll see also what you get to do as we head into hole 2, which is a par 4.
Yeah, hole 2 again, narrow all the way up. You can really kind of pick your shot off the tee. It could be a backhand or a forehand. The tough thing is the low ceiling of those trees and the out of bounds on either side. Overall, one of the easier par 4s.
A lot of OB on this course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paul's going to take the box here.
That is
Lines
too
up
much
like
hyzer.
Strayer. And we were just talking about the OB here.
Yeah, he that disc needs to be flat coming out of his hand. And as you saw, it came out on hyzer, so it's going to almost immediately start moving right. That's a problem.
Now, why do you think Paul opts for the forehand there instead of that backhand like you saw Rick take there?
I think you can. I like the forehand here because of the slope of the hill. So as you play the wide backhand, you're going downhill towards the water, a little bit more likely to skip, in my opinion. So I think the forehand play is more likely to dig if you put it nice and flat, like I think I might be about to do.
All right, and we saw Nikko just unload on that drive.
There's
As
the flat.
you're taking it, just over that OB, and you know that's going to come back.
Yeah, and it's not as close to those trees as it looked. Like that was not at all scary to me. As soon as I let that go, I knew it was a perfect shot.
And Paul's coming back in from out of bounds there, and it looks like he just leaves that a little further left than you would think he wanted to.
Yeah, that went a bit long. That's the tough thing about a low ceiling sometimes. You know you need to kind of give it some juice to get under there.
Exactly.
It can be a difficult balance, especially if the wind gives the disc a small lift after you beat the low ceiling.
And you're going to give this a run.
Kinda, yeah. I wasn't really thinking I'd make it. I was just sort of happy to be so close on a par 4 that I could have the luxury of jump putting my way to birdie.
Definitely. And you saw Rick back there just take another easy chip. Oh,
Whoa.
and Nikko's getting a bad roll.
So that stayed in bounds, but
man,
it was very unlucky. Like, Nikko didn't do much wrong there, in my opinion.
And he couldn't get that one in to convert. That's just such a long comeback putt. Really bad luck there for Nikko.
Yeah.
Rough start. And Paul misses wide right.
Yeah.
You don't see that very often from him.
No, and a bogey on this hole is going to be hard for him to stomach because, like I said earlier, it is one of the easier par 4s. So, really unexpected place to take a 5.
And let's not forget your birdie there. Nicely done.
Thank you. Needed it after the first shot went OB on hole 1.
Paul's going to clean up there. And on this hole, it looks like then he's going to end up losing 2 to Ricky.
Yeah.
And that's, so you take one, you give one back. Not exactly the start that he needs right there.
Yeah, it's coming down the stretch at any tournament like this when you have someone playing as hot as Ricky, you don't have a lot of room for error, and obviously there's still a lot of golf left. Paul still has plenty of time to close the gap, but not doing himself any favors.
Definitely. And we come to hole number 3, which is another par 4. It plays a bit longer than it looks, or than it's measured at.
Yeah, because of the uphill finish, and those trees don't allow you to go directly at the pin. You kind of play into the landing zone. Then you have your option of a big hyzer backhand around or a big hyzer forehand around. There's not really much of a play up the middle, so you're going to have to hang your disc out over OB, make sure that you're bringing it back. Can't count on much skip in this lush Kansas grass.
Yeah, a lot of stickiness from the hands to the grass.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And Rick's just gonna shoot his right out there.
It's perfect.
And that's kind of the thing this weekend. It's just nothing too flashy with him.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to be gained here anyway on this hole.
And you're testing that OB over there. No, it just looked like it. You came out safe. You had that fading back in nicely. What was that you threw there?
I was a destroyer.
You see Nikko getting over on that one like we've talked about before, and then it looks like the wind just pushes that down.
Yeah, I got a bit of a drop. That's a classic Nikko shot coming over the top on the disc. Not a lot of players use that line as often as him. Oh,
And looks like
boy.
Paul may have misjudged the wind there, and that is just sailing to the right, skips off the path and out of bounds.
Man.
So that's 2 OBs already for Paul.
Yeah, and he didn't get a move that far up the fairway here. Looking to get a big hyzer. Oh, the little lift from the wind.
And that skips OB. That's 2 shots in a row out of bounds, 3
I was
in the first 3 holes for him now.
I was in shock a bit there to see that second shot go OB as well. Really, really rough way to play this hole.
Nikko comes in with that big hyzer, gets a little jump right toward the basket. That's a great shot. He's gonna be parked.
That is incredibly good to be there that easily.
Really enjoy watching you with these low ceiling forehands. You seem to really excel at those kind of shots.
Yeah, it could be the best. You never know.
Let's see what Rick has on this shot. Looks like he may have lined up that stiletto again for a little extra stability, but it kind of failed him. He goes out of bounds.
Yeah, and look at that. That's that lack of skip we're talking about. You know, it just digs and takes that little roll.
And there was a little moisture as well. There was some rain overnight, and so you see that starting to come in play. Nothing's really dried off yet. The sun hasn't quite come out all the way.
Yeah, but a costly mistake from Rick because he knows Paul's already twice OB. He knows he has strokes on the table, and he's letting a few slip away.
Paul's just trying to push that one up a little bit.
Speaking
Same
of
with you.
letting strokes slip away,
Uh,
that was not a great effort by me. I was a little bit frustrated to leave that putt low.
well, you've been saying the whole week you'd rather miss high than miss low.
Yep, words to live by.
And you clean that one up there, but definitely a missed opportunity, unfortunately. And Nico's going to have a tap in for birdie here.
Great birdie. Looks like we got the rainbow, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That is correct. Yes. Wow. All the way to purple for Paul. I don't think we've seen that on the scorecards this
Hopefully
week.
we never see it again.
And he's 2 over for the round to start. Ricky's only at even, you're at even, and Nikko actually has come out the strongest after these first few holes, but a lot left to play.
The strongest, but not even really that strong. Nobody came out roaring.
Right? It did get off to kind of a clunky start. It just, no one's really gotten into that zone yet.
Yeah.
You got to see if maybe someone tries to give it a run here. This is definitely this was actually, I believe, aced earlier this day.
I'd believe it. So a hole you just got to carry over that sand trap, take your skip.
Nico's going to be a little bit short. Doesn't get quite as much skip there.
A little bit too much hyzer on his disc, a little bit too inside. I tried to make a correction, go a little wider, make sure to power it, and I definitely did. Going about 40 feet long.
That's going to leave you with a bit of a comebacker, and it looks like it. Did it just straighten out? It did flatten out and come back.
Yeah, it got about the right amount of left movement, but I just I saw Nikko go short, and I thought to myself, that's not going to happen to me. And I gave it a rip.
Yeah. Ricky gets a little skip and roll.
That's a really nice drive.
Paul's looking to recover from going out of bounds twice on the last hole.
That's a destroyer, and he pretty much stuck it.
He's thrown that bright yellow destroyer really well.
That's it. That's his most overstable one, and in the wind, that's generally going to be your best result.
How many putter flips was that for this one? Did you count?
I never count.
We need to keep track of
Maybe
what's the
one
magic
more.
number that lifted up a little higher. You got to crank it up a little bit.
Might have needed 1 or 2 more for sure.
Let's see what Nikko can do here. And that's 2 in a row for Nikko.
Yeah, and I remember this green, the flag's not showing a lot of wind, but I remember thinking on my putt, like, oh man, so much headwind. And I remember when Nikko made that, thinking, oh, really nice putt through the wind. So it's a little bit maybe windier than you can see here.
And you can see quite a bit of foliage moving around in the background.
Yeah.
As Rick with a rare inside the circle miss there.
Yes. That's not something you see too often.
And it just seems like maybe he's leaving a crack in the door right now after this first stretch.
Sure. I mean, it's up to somebody else to walk through it. But yeah, I think everybody's coming out maybe a little tight. It's getting later in the tournament, starting to feel the pressure amp up maybe a bit.
Definitely. More people out on the course watching today. Definitely starting to feel the pressure. And Nikko's going 2 down on the round right now. He's back to 6 away from Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a bit of work to do.
Yeah, plenty.
As we go into hole 5, is this a spot where you feel like you can take one back, or is this one where you're just happy to take the 4?
You can go for a 3, but I don't know if I would say I would expect to take one with a 3. Although this is one of my favorite holes on the course. It's an appropriately difficult par 4 in my opinion. A good drive sets you up reasonably well.
And you get that low.
approach.
You kind of have some canopy to contend with there, which seems to be rare on this course.
Yeah, I think it's one of the prettier holes and a fun hole to play.
Oh, and Nikko just does a little bit of tree trimming there, and he's going to end up shorter than he wanted to be there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's trying to go on such an inside line. I would prefer to see the disc out to the right like Paul's doing here. Kind of path of least resistance to get up there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not contending with any of the foliage there.
And that is really far throw.
He crushed that. Audible response from the crowd on that one.
I'm going PD2. Trying to bring a little crush of my own. And that's a nice spot.
Very nice. Not that tree doesn't end up. That's not too much in the way there for you.
Yeah, I thought it might be, but once I got up there, I was not. It was not a problem.
Rick kind of goes with that same line as Nikko, not just and is able to miss that stuff, so he keeps it a little lower.
Yeah, good shot.
Nikko with the little toe tapping run up.
So this is just a huge hyzer. Kind of just throwing up a prayer, hope to get through these trees. It's a good play from where he was.
Yeah, it comes down at least.
But yeah, he got through, a little bit. Leave him with a 50, 60 footer.
Yeah. Ricky's just going to go with that nice, smooth forehand upshot that he's been leaning on.
Yeah, if you end up left off the drive, there's a nice little alley to take a forehand.
Is that what you're lining up right here as well?
A little different line, but yes, I am throwing a forehand. Got a little lift from the wind. And then my good friend.
Little backboard there.
My good friend, the tree on the right.
Very nice.
Stepping in to make sure I get that birdie.
And Paul is gonna sail his it's gonna land right there actually.
Yeah, it's perfect. His drive was a good 30, 40 feet past any of the rest of us.
And Nikko drains that one from about 60, and he is pumped.
That was a great putt.
Did he just kiss his putter?
Yeah, maybe like a little love bite, maybe a
might
kiss.
As well. Yeah,
I'm not sure.
A little nibble.
Yeah, he was really psyched to make that, as anyone would be. A really, really nice birdie.
Rick takes the birdie. I don't think we're gonna see him showing any affection to his putter, but
well, he's too close. The putter ought to be going in from there.
That's true. Very nice. Another birdie there yourself.
Yep, happy to get it.
So we get birdies all around on that hole.
Yeah, well played hole by the group. Everybody got off the tee pretty well, and Nikko had to make that big putt because his tee shot was a little bit shorter. But
yeah, that's been a nice stretch for Nikko, 3 in a row, and we're looking at a star frame. Can't do much better right now.
Yeah, that's not really a hole that an eagle is in play. I mean, you have to throw it in for sure.
Oh yeah. What are you looking at heading down the hill here?
This hole, to me, it's a hole where I probably could throw it far enough to attack it, but I'd have to risk some OB with the street. It's a tough get. You really have to throw it a long way, as you can see there, 580 as a par 3. It's only very marginally downhill, so it's a tough birdie to get. I think we saw Nikko pick it up yesterday.
Yeah, he did, and it looks like he's trying that similar aggressive route, but
it's overcooked.
Yeah.
But inbounds.
He's inbounds. That's all that really matters on that one. It just didn't have enough to flex out like it did for that extra distance yesterday.
Yeah, I remember he was worried when he let it go. He was saying, "Oh, get down. Make sure it doesn't get in that street."
He does like to talk to his discs a lot.
I do as well.
You got to tell him what to do sometimes. And Paul crushes that one. behind the shrubs there.
Safe.
Safe, but not
580 feet, but not much look.
Exactly.
This is just me playing some safe golf, really, on a hole this long. Just going PD2. That's not a disc that I can throw that far. It's a little overstable. But I'm just putting it in play, trying to set up for a easy 3.
You got to pick your spots on this course, and if this isn't one of them, then it's not one of them.
Yep, and Rick's going with the same approach.
Exactly. Yeah, you guys end up relatively close to each other there.
Yeah, mine's farther, but, you know.
Of course. Nice approach from Ricky. And what are you throwing here on this approach?
That's an R-Pro dart.
Ah, is that the signature Nate Sexton R-Pro dart?
No, because that's my beat-up one. All the Sexton darts are so new, I don't have any real beat-up ones yet. So my second dart is a Sexton, but I use it more for a little bit longer shots.
I was really just trying to tee you up to plug it a little bit.
They are a great stamp.
Nico's in the bush. Paul comes over the top there. He's not able to put it in.
Yeah, went with a little upside-down monster, so you know he was in a tough spot. If his monster's coming over the bushes upside down on a putt attempt, he probably used kind of a upside-down forehand. We call it a Scooby.
Very nice job cleaning up the par there. No one could really capitalize there. You saw, Paul and Nico trying to push the limits there a little more, be a little more aggressive, try and take some back here, and it's just not happening too much yet.
Yeah, I would say, I think it'd be generous to even say 5% of the field is making birdie there. So it's a rare one to see.
And let's head into hole number 7. Now this one is a relatively open shot, but you do have some OB on the left, correct?
Yeah, and the right. I mean, and long where the
so does it almost play a little bit? Do you have to think about it as an island type shot?
No, not quite. I don't think, but you don't want to end up in those bushes. Obviously, you have to be in bounds. The challenge for me on this shot was the left to right wind, because I'd like to throw a forehand, but I was worried about the wind getting under the disc.
And that's a very nice throw from Nico. He's going to be about 20-25 feet out there.
Yeah, when playing in a crosswind, keeping the disc flat is ideal, and those guys both just showed you the good result you can get when you just throw the disc flat. You don't expose the bottom or the top to this crosswind. You can just cut right through it.
And Paul just crept over the little hill there.
So in my head here, I'm just thinking, please be flat. Make sure you throw it pretty flat. Keep it wide so that it doesn't lift too much.
And a nice big skip and a little bit of roll, and you've got a good look there.
Yeah, super happy with that spot. Rick's kind of flipped up there, which made me a little nervous, but then it got a nice carry from the wind.
He's a little bit further out than everyone else, but nothing too difficult. And that just spits right back out. That was dead center.
I hate to see those. It was a nice putt, man. I mean, not much you can say. It's just
bad. Is that bad luck?
Yeah, I'll chalk that up to bad luck. It's
Very
part
nice
of the game,
for you.
but not fun to watch when the putter's falling out like that.
Audible groans from the crowd on that one. Understandably so. It wasn't one of those ones.
It wasn't
as
questionable.
Paul cleans up. Yeah, it wasn't where he was maybe a little bit left or a little bit right. It was dead center.
He definitely drilled it. A nice birdie from Paul.
Nico takes another one as well. He's actually started off quite strong here through 7.
Yeah, he's definitely having the strongest start.
And Ricky just stoically walking away from the hole. There's not much you can do there. But Nico has started to narrow the gap a little bit. He's only 5 back total, 4 under on the day so far. Gotta wonder if some of that momentum that Ricky Wysocki always talks about is starting to tip away from him into someone else's favor here.
Yeah, things are getting a little more interesting at the top, that's for sure. Again, we got an easier par 4 here coming up on hole 8. Uphill, OB left, OB right, but it's a really big landing zone. So you just kind of want to put the disc in play and then assess where you're at and make an appropriate shot into the green.
And Nico's going to take the box here.
Going big hyzer. And there's only one thing this could possibly hit that would be bad, and that
And
is
he finds it. Do you know what that's called?
That bush
Yes.
tree thing? No, I don't.
It's a juniper. I learned that out on the course.
Oh, okay.
Thought I would bring that to the table today. A little
That-
bit of extra knowledge,
I can't believe this coverage is free.
right?
And
We're
people
bringing
get to
it.
learn that kind of stuff.
Exactly. It's borderline. Wow. Let's not talk about that. Let's
That
talk
was
about
it.
Paul's drive.
A huge drive through the wind. Gonna be an easy 3.
And you're going roller here.
Yep.
Through the OB.
Yep, that's how I do it.
That's a bit risky.
Yeah, I throw a sidewinder, so to me it doesn't feel very risky because I absolutely know that it's going to go right. It was a little bit windy for that play, but that's what I practiced, so I went with it anyway. Cost me a little distance, but it worked.
Oh, I like to see. It's fun to break it up with some different shots here too on a hole like this. And
That's very nice from Rick,
Yeah,
Big Heiser. That's
really
what Nikko
safe.
wanted to see, but Nico's kind of hung out on him.
And
And
Nikko had
forced
to
him.
pitch out from that bush. It actually was stuck up in the tree, and he just took it from the
Yeah.
right there from the drop,
This shot was not great.
just into the tree there.
I should have thrown a backhand there. I kind of felt that way immediately after I released it and hit that tree, but hindsight's 20/20.
Now, something interesting I've noticed as we've watched Nikko throughout the week, as Rick makes
Parks
his
it.
upshot
Yeah.
there. He generally, if there is that question on the line, he doesn't seem to. Does he just not have a forehand?
He has one. It's not a real long, but he will use it sometimes. But he's definitely a backhand dominant.
Yeah,
player.
definitely tends to opt for some of the turnover shots a lot.
Yeah,
Paul was giving that a little bit of a bid, just couldn't quite get it there.
through the wind, looking sweet.
Ah,
Oh, maybe not. I thought that was in, but I guess it was a little low.
just need a little bit more. And Ricky recovers from that last spit out with a nice birdie there. He needed that after number 7.
Yeah. This one to me feels like for Nikko and I, if Nikko can stick this, making fours feels like half a bogey. It's just like one of these holes where you don't walk away going, okay, good, I got away with my par. I feel like because it's so wide open.
You should just get it.
With long throwing players like everybody on this card, you're not too psyched with the.
You didn't look very psyched there.
No, not at all. It's probably a little salty as I am known to get after a poor showing.
Understandably so. Paul and Ricky take the 2 3s there. You and Nikko take 4s. And we head into hole number 9.
Yeah, one of the harder par 3s. The shot you're going to see is a forehand from the 3 players that like to throw forehands, and then Nikko probably try some kind of turnover up the middle, or even actually a little left of center. The issue is the OB left, OB right kind of comes into play, but mostly it's just the length of this hole that makes it tough because it is a bit of a low ceiling.
And Paul's lining up that AVR stamp destroyer.
Oh, man.
And
So
it turns over again.
That's way out of bounds.
That's his 4th OB on the front 9.
Yeah, and he threw just too flippy of a disc. I mean, I think he just made a miscalculation there because the disc just flipped over on him. Had that been one of his newer destroyers, I think it would have been just fine.
Yeah, and Rick's just sticks down right there. He's plenty safe. And like you said, Nikko going with a little bit of the turnover line up the middle, but that
That's
just turns.
Tracking. Okay.
That cut rolls and it stays safe.
Yeah, it was tracking towards OB, but luckily, it's one of those times when you miss your shot. Even like had that shot been missed by less, it would have floated OB. But because he flipped it so much, it catches and rolls. So sometimes you catch a good break that way.
It looks like is this the destroyer for you?
Yep, destroyer, and that was a great throw. I mean, into a headwind, it's really hard to reach this hole. I'm perfectly happy with that.
Paul's gonna come back in.
Throwing a monster and leaving it
Gonna be a little short.
surprisingly short.
Does he usually have that one pretty dialed in?
I mean, he usually kind of has everything dialed in, to be honest.
right.
But yeah, I mean, rare to see make a mistake like that off the tee and then not just be absolutely parked for bogey to make himself have that much meat left on the bone.
Yeah, he's having a hard time kind of putting it together today. As you see, Nikko and Rick just get real close with their upshots.
I kind of half-heartedly wanted to make that, but I also didn't want it to float away in the wind and end up having a bogey on my hands.
And Paul almost looked like I don't know, that bid didn't look as, I don't know what the right word is. He just didn't look as into that one.
Yeah, it was a little windy, and then, I mean, you can see the frustration in his body language right away as he knows that it's going to be missing low. Obviously, a double bogey is a
Doesn't
score
even pick up the putter, just throws the monster back in the basket.
Yeah. Really a double bogey that he would have never expected to get. No one ever expects to get a double bogey, but painful.
Yeah, we've seen a bit more color on his scorecard today, and let's take a quick commercial break.
Always thrown Innova and competed with Innova. I don't think I'd be playing this sport if it wasn't for creating the disc itself and then just taking it to the next level over and over and over again. How great the discs are themselves. It's really gained my trust, and I don't think I would be here without Innova. I don't see myself doing anything else.
We're back with Ultiworld Disc Golf's trivia question of the day. Which disc manufacturer sponsors two players whose first names are also nouns? You can go to discgolf.ultiworld.com/trivia to submit your answer and win a $25 gift card from Dude Clothing. Nate, did you know that two players have first names that are nouns?
My brain is going in circles right now trying to figure this one out, but I don't have it right away.
That was a fun one. We've got hole 10 right here, par 3, 402 feet. What's the safe play? What's the aggressive play? Or is it all the same here?
It's all a big hyzer for your right-handed player. You need to be a bit aggressive in order to get close enough to the pin. You've got to kind of push it towards that OB path.
And Rick's going to have his be nice and flat. That's a pretty overstable disc he's throwing. It skips right there, and
that's great.
Not much better than that.
It was pretty safe. Really a good shot.
Nikko's looks like it's getting hung up by the wind a little too much there. It's going to push him deeper than he wanted. Didn't get much coming back there.
It flipped too much in the wind. Got too flat. I'm going PD2 again, making sure that it doesn't flip. It's moving left and needs to put the brakes on.
Little skip. Stays in.
Barely stays in.
Very nice. And Paul dials up a big crush here as well.
It's also moving left.
And it's coming in a little high.
That tree may have helped him.
It did. It looked like it was coming in hot.
I'm honestly a bit close. I'm a bit worried. You may have heard of Kansas sticky hand, but the new thing that's going around is called OB fever.
Paul definitely has a case of it.
And it almost seems like Paul might be suffering from it. But luckily he stayed in bounds here, so that may be okay.
Very nice birdie. We did not count the number of putter flips that it takes.
Never count it. It'll only make you crazy. Don't count.
That's true. And Rick takes another.
Yeah. I was really happy to get that birdie, as I'm sure Rick was as well.
Oh, yeah. Paul looks like he's going to also take a birdie, so kind of a fortunate break there that he clipped that tree up top.
Yeah, hard to say what it would have done, but certainly can't complain. He's 12 feet away.
And Nikko takes the lone birdie there.
Lone par.
Par, excuse me, thank you. And don't take it out on the basket, Nikko. And we've got 3 birdies, 1 par as we get ready to head into hole 11 here. And Nikko at one point was kind of starting to push the pressure there. Let's see if he can get back on track after losing one there as we come to this nice little valley shot. I would say this is one of the signature holes on this course.
Yeah, really tough. And, as we talked about from yesterday's broadcast, the real problem here is OB. When you do go OB, you're way, way back at that drop zone, making it really hard to save your par. So you don't get to ever go where you crossed unless it's a second shot. Any OB off the tee, way back, 375 feet away. So you just really need to stay safe.
It is only the OB on the left, though. All those bushes on the right are safe.
But that fairway long if is also OB.
And Rick gets just a nice little turn there, and he's that's just about right where you want to be.
Yeah, that's going to be a very, very easy birdie from there. I'm trying to get aggressive here.
Going with the roller.
Rip a roller. Trying to go with a sidewinder.
Is that sidewinder again?
Yeah, and the previous day I'd gone OB into that fairway. Tried to make a correction.
Overcorrected.
Went in the woods.
Paul dials it up, and it's turning a bit more to the right as well.
I think he's going to be okay there. He's on the fringe. I think he'll probably have a pretty clean look.
Still, he's just can't seem to dial in those drives accurately. He's just seems to be flipping things over a bit. And Nikko is making some potatoes because he mashed that one. He landed it
You're right
just
about that.
way up there.
Okay, there's the basket. There's me. And that is a terrible shot.
Were you just trying to get that
Yeah, I mean,
over a bit more?
I actually thought it was decent when I released it, but I guess I wasn't really quite understanding how far I was tucked behind that corner.
I did see you kind of checking for some clarification on that with some other players.
It was about as bad as you could do. I threw it like straight up in the air, like a little hot air balloon, and floated it down as nice and gentle right into the OB by like 6 inches.
Well, you have been known for your honest commentary throughout these broadcasts, so appreciate you bringing that to yourself as well.
Oh, yeah, no worries. So, again, an awful 5, a hole that you really ought to be able to make a birdie on.
As Paul does.
Yeah, really well done. And, I was pretty annoyed with myself for making that mistake. Tough to swallow the pill and just pitch out, because I knew these guys were going to birdie.
Of course.
I wanted to make a play and at least get myself a putt, but unfortunately I ended up costing myself an additional stroke going OB.
So now it's interesting you say that you knew that the other guys were going to have a birdie, so at this point you weren't in that just yourself versus the course mode?
Yeah, I mean, you always are a little bit, but, it stings to lose 2 strokes to the card.
Right.
Or even a stroke to everybody. So as much as you want to say, oh, I'm just playing against the course, you still are there and you're aware of what people are doing.
Of course.
And you want to be able to, just be in that battle and kind of fight back when they make a great shot. You want to answer. So I went to try to make a nice save and ended up just digging a deeper hole.
Of note there, before we talk about hole 12, Paul is actually all the way to 10 behind Rick right now. It's just
Yes.
the OBs early have really widened that gap.
Yes. So the issue here, OB right. That's the main concern.
And Rick dials up that compass again. Doesn't get quite the turn out of it that he did the prior day, but he
safe.
comes down. Yeah, he'll be safe.
Yeah. Long putt.
Paul dials up. That's that T-Bird 3, right? Or is
Yeah.
that just a regular T-Bird?
This is a 3. I think he only has T-Bird 3s at the moment.
And he's safe
Right
as
through.
well, yeah.
Right through.
Little bit wide though. He's gonna have a long look
Yes.
for the 2.
But unobstructed.
Nico's trying for that turnover, and he finds a little bit more foliage. He's been doing that a bit today, just finding the bushes, finding the trees.
Yeah. So I tried to get aggressive here, get a birdie
Yeah.
back, and I didn't quite get that turned over enough.
And you are now OB.
And I feel like, I don't know if it's an airborne disease or what, but I almost feel like, whatever Paul had, I'm starting to catch.
Guy's been hanging out in the RV too much.
Yeah, I really hope I can get over it quick, because OB fever is super dangerous.
Yeah, you don't want that. Nico with a nice upshot there to recover from that drive. And Rick gives it a bid off the cage low from the knee. Looked like he might have been putting with one of his harps there, a little more spin.
Yeah. A little low. I was unlucky there. Those low-hanging branches right in my way.
Yeah.
So I couldn't quite get enough height on the putt, or as much as I wanted.
Nico cleans up for par, but he just is starting to look a bit dejected after he kind of had a little bit of an opening to start making some moves early. He's getting frustrated now.
Yeah, it was a good par putt, though.
It was. His putt definitely looked clean. It was just that drive that he was still thinking about. And as we see Rick clean up here, that was for hole 12 there, which you'd call that relatively a gettable birdie, right?
Yeah, it's not the easiest one, but yeah, you certainly are thinking this is a birdie
Yeah,
chance.
no one ended up taking it on that one.
And I am bleeding strokes here.
Up to 201 on the weekend now. Everyone else still in the 100s. Maybe you have a chance to make a move as we get the round going.
I'm
Try and take
gonna
some stuff
need
back.
to. I'm gonna need to.
You dial up the aggressive play. Try and make a little bit more.
Yeah, hopefully. This is a tough hole just due to everything right of the path being OB, so it's kind of got the potential, almost more than any other hole on this course, it's got the potential to be a round ruiner.
Okay.
If you kind of hang one out right, maybe then you put yourself in a really tough situation. Overcorrect, you could go OB left. I think it's one of the more likely big number holes on this course.
Okay. Interesting, because it looks relatively straightforward. It's not terribly long. Rick just puts that enforcer right up there.
It absolutely is straightforward, but it punishes even small mistakes.
Paul hangs his out pretty far to the right there, but it comes back like that with that overstable destroyer you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it was a good shot. And the wind was actually pretty down at this moment compared to the previous day. So we were...
Yeah, there was a definite difference in the level of wind.
Yeah.
Nikko is trying for the run there.
Sat down nicely for him.
Yeah, it stayed in bounds. And you've got that PD2 again, correct?
Yep.
Seeing that a lot today.
Yeah, I'm trying to just keep it safe. This is a little too safe. World's biggest skip. A little bit of roll.
Wow.
And this is full-blown OB fever,
Full-blown OB fever.
Look out. Don't come near me. I don't feel well.
Well, at least you kept it in bounds on the comeback there, because it did look like you were running that a bit
I
to try and
was,
take some
yeah,
back, and that's
yeah.
dangerous there. Nikko with the low putt,
I think you could say at this moment I'm on tilt.
a little bit. Nikko, again with the almost punch, hasn't gone all the way, and McBeth cans the birdie. That's a really nice putt.
Yeah.
Not to be outdone, Rick also takes one, and you saw over on the left side of the frame there, Paul seemed to be taking out some of his aggression on his shoes or his stool. He was slapping it on the bottom of his shoes a lot. I know there was some mud in there, but it seemed like there might have been a little more to it than just clearing out the mud.
Sure. You know, we're only human.
Oh, of course. And it just seems like...
Nico's frustrated.
Oh, yeah. Well, it just seems like when there have been opportunities, it's just that they can't capitalize, or that Ricky's just keeping right up with them.
Yeah, or you go OB every hole. That also will slow you down.
That is tough. Was that 3 in a row there?
3, that's a turkey, the wrong kind of turkey.
An overcooked turkey, dry turkey on Thanksgiving.
All kinds of bogeys.
Hopefully you've gotten the OB fever out of your system as we head
so.
into this long par 4.
Yeah, this one is...
I really like this hole.
Yeah, it's a good hole. Kind of a little bit of a technical gap off the tee, more than almost any other hole at this course. So that's always tough. When distance is at a premium, you really want to get far off the tee, but then you have to negotiate that gap. So that's probably the challenge here. OB is not a huge factor, although it is possible. This fairway is very, very wide.
Rick gets right through that gap you were talking about.
Yeah, that was a really nice forehand.
Again, he's just really done a nice job of picking his spots, when to use the backhand, when to use the forehand, when to play it safe. It just kind of seems to be a consistent theme for him this week.
Yeah.
And Paul's going to take the right side route there.
Absolutely no skip.
Yeah, it's just everything's been really sticky. And it looks like Nikko
Wow. Yeah,
is
this
getting
is
a roller. That's a pretty aggressive play.
hyper aggressive play, and he's going out onto the
Is
path.
it going to make it back in?
Wow, a little curb action there.
Very nice.
That was a huge drive.
Yeah.
Farthest I've ever seen on that hole.
And now you're taking the safer Ricky route there as well.
Yeah.
Nice big skip. It looks like you actually got out a little further than him with that.
Yeah, just skipping on past him.
Yeah, well, you got to do that.
Those were both great forehands, though. Those are probably pushing 400 feet. Both of us super happy to be in that spot. Pretty good approach to the green.
And Paul just gets stuck in that tree on the way down.
It's a huge tree. Like a big spike hyzer is going to need a little bit of help to get through there.
Rick with the forehand approach also hits a little bit of a tree, and he's going to be kind of behind the trunk there, but he should still be okay.
He misreleased that shot, and he was asking for it to hit that tree. He was scared of OB over by the fence.
Can't do it much better than that.
Yeah, that's just right. I was really, really happy to see that shot sneak under the tree, get a skip over.
There's that forehand that you mentioned for
Yeah.
a shorter shot.
It's smooth.
That's maybe the first one we've seen, though.
Yeah, he's smooth with it. It's
worked.
just not his preference. There's really almost nobody that's at the top level that doesn't have both.
Of
the
course,
forehand
of
and the
course. You
backhand.
just don't see him rely on it as much as others.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and Rick just hits the cage.
I really wanted to make this putt.
You did.
And did it, yeah.
Nicely
I knew
done.
it.
I saw what you did there. You were trying to... A little spoiler alert.
Yeah, look out. A little bit of
Taking it backwards.
teaser.
Very
yeah,
nice.
I after the 3 bogeys, I put myself finally in position to kind of start clawing my way back, and was really glad to be able to focus up and make that putt. even
Really
though
nice
I was-
recovery.
Even though I was a little bit frustrated at that point. Nikko with the easiest birdie ever, thanks to that huge roller.
Yeah, very nice. You guys take the 2 birdies there. Paul and Ricky take the 4s, and the gap is still at 10 between the 2 of them. And Nikko still needs 6. There's a lot of work to do for these guys as we just kind of tick down, running out of holes eventually. I know we still have a few more rounds, but we can only say that so many times before it's not working.
Yep, it's true. Ticking clock.
This is another hole that just views really well, plays really well. You
Yeah.
get some of the gallery gathered around the back. It's another nice hole here.
Yeah, tough thing here is it does play as an island green, so any OB is going to put you at a drop zone that's probably 250 feet away. So very important to make the safe zone.
Nikko gets that hyzer out there again.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's a great shot. Gets a little. He may even be. It's hard to tell if he's pin high or if he's even maybe a little deep there.
I really wanted to crush this one, and I did.
Boom.
Put it really, really wide, and I was a little nervous at first that it was not going to swing back, but the PD2 does what it does.
That
and
reliability.
It moved left for me.
You did crush that one. And Rick hangs his out a little far, but it's already starting to come back down.
So
And
good.
he's right there. I feel like we've just been saying it all weekend. All week with these shots where he's just right there. When everyone else is just a little bit further away, he's just a little bit closer.
Yeah, he's in the lead for a reason right now. He's really dialed in.
And Paul with the big high hyzer. He's going to be a little short, but he
Stuck
does
it.
stick it in there.
Yeah, no OB. So again, these low branches right in between me and the basket. I went down to a knee
Oh, so close.
and nearly hit a nice putt.
And Paul does hit his.
Speaking of a nice
Get a little
putt.
dab action in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great putt from Paul.
And Ricky for his range, relative tap in.
Yeah, for anybody on this card, that's going to be
Of course.
a likely make. Nikko, another birdie. Really, really good drive.
You got to clean yours up here.
Yeah, too many times today I'm the only guy taking the par or the only guy taking the bogey. Hard to keep up when you're doing that.
Yeah, three twos and a 3. We've got just a few more holes to play in this round, and it just doesn't seem like anyone can really take much on Rick right now.
No.
You're going to see him try and you think we're going to see him try and run this island a bit to try and take something back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. I would expect Rick would be thinking perhaps layup,
Yeah, there's no need for him to run that.
but I think everybody else is in a position where they need to be playing aggressive.
And Nikko takes it with that Oh, and it looks like it just stalled out a little bit. Doesn't turn, and he's taking a swim later.
Yep.
Yep, and there you go with Rick making the little layup shot.
Good position.
And what is this that Paul's throwing? Is that a rock 3?
Yes, McPro. Needs to get there.
Oh, and he just gets on there.
Stuck it.
Very nice.
Nice to clear those rocks. Make sure it doesn't bounce backwards.
Taking a little breath before this shot. A little tense.
You got to make sure you commit to this one. Got that forehand out. That's an Excalibur.
It's coming down and skips.
You can always use a little luck.
Yeah, playing a little skipping stones
Get
there.
that
Very nice.
green flag up, buddy.
Yeah, gotta
Beautiful.
love that.
Beautiful. And thank you to all the volunteers.
They were great. There's some very enthusiastic spotters out there this weekend. Rick with just the beautiful touch on that approach there. Nikko just going to give his little bid to the pin right there, and he's safe. And Paul takes a very nice birdie there.
Yeah.
A little bit of a possibly tricky footing down there with that putt as well, being on the edge of the island.
Yeah, and those rocks aren't the most solid place to stand either. I was dealing with a little bit of unsure footing here.
But you were sure about that. Very nice.
Boy, did that come out clean.
That's a great sequence there for both you and Paul. And then, I mean, that's 2 in a row for you, right? Two?
No,
I'm
two out of the last 3.
2 out of the last 3. So it does seem like the OB fever has maybe cleared up.
I think I'm all right. Yeah, it's starting to pass. The only cure is birdies.
Yep. Well, you got one there. Let's move into hole number 17. This is that long par 5.
Yep. Big L-shaped hole. Drive is tough, technical. With a big wind, we saw the other day, the guys going huge hyzer around. That wind isn't really here today, so I don't think we're going to see that play. You just need to kind of get up here, make the Mando, land safe here in the middle, set yourself up for that big hyzer over the little birdhouse thing there around the corner, but making sure not to flatten the shot out and clear the path, taking an OB.
I was talking to Eagle McMahon about this hole, and apparently it eats his lunch, he said. He does not fare well, which is interesting considering that he's known for his distance proficiency there. And Paul clips the tree a little bit. He'll be safe, but didn't quite get the distance there.
Yeah, usually with that vegan diet, I don't think Eagle has to worry about too many people taking his lunch.
That's a good point.
But yeah, this hole apparently. I just throw a forehand here to try to play for position.
Keep it safe.
Yeah.
And it looks like Rick's trying to do the same thing.
But he forgot to put it flat.
And it takes a big skip, almost hits someone in the gallery and goes out of bounds.
Yeah, I made a similar mistake at the GBO earlier this year. You really need to keep that disc flat.
That's his second OB today, and couple miscues in this round as the tournament wears on. You see maybe a little fatigue, a little harder to focus.
Yeah, and I mean the bar that he's set for expectations is incredibly high at this point. He's come through, his worst round to this point is 1060 something. So that's a pace that you can hardly expect anyone to keep up.
And it does tend to magnify those mistakes a little bit. They stand out a bit more.
Yeah.
Now what's happening with your shot
PD2
here?
around the corner. Gonna have some willows to contend with.
Yeah, those get a little tricky down there.
Yeah.
Now Paul's not throwing from the drop zone. That's just where his lie was on the drive.
Yep, he's going destroyer. Taking a big shot, looking for that eagle putt.
And he's safe.
And he has a putt.
Let's see what Nikko can dial up here with his little shimmy step.
That looks very good.
Well, he did
You can see
he did eagle this the day before, so he's got the play
he's in
down.
position again. What you want to see there is just the fact that those discs are coming out on such a pure hyzer, never getting flat. If they were to get flat, they're testing that path long.
Okay.
But if you see them on full hyzer like that, they're going to be okay.
Rick just parks that shot.
I'm going
Nice
willow
little
hunting.
forehand from the knee.
Yeah, I got through. There wasn't really much of a clean look there, but I got it through.
Nico's going to try for that eagle again, and he just comes up a little low. Paul also with a look. Ah,
Man.
just a little low again. That's such a long run, though.
Yeah, it was a decent bid. I mean, obviously he wants to get that thing in, but
It would have been a chance for him to take 2
Yep.
on Rick there because of the OB. Instead, it ends up just being 1.
yeah. I had these stupid willows blowing into the line. Kind of think maybe you got to trim those if they're within. Oh, there, I'm telling you.
Hey, there.
Like, I don't really think there ought to be willows within 3 feet of the chains.
Should have just yanked him down.
But yeah.
Gotten
Yeah.
beastly on them.
Yeah, I don't want to get disqualified, though.
That's true. That is true.
There goes Paul off to the bathroom.
As we head into hole 18, we still have, almost a full round and a half coming, but at this point, the aggressive play, Nico and Paul trying to push the pace, it just hasn't really paid off for them today. Rick has just been consistently able to answer.
Yeah, it's been a tough battle so far. I feel everyone's had their cold stretches and their hot stretches.
Yeah.
A huge tough finishing hole here. Anybody's happy to have a look at birdie. Just so far and so uphill. So we're all looking to clear that water on the first, stay in bounds, and then see what we can do to get a look at this green.
And how often have you yourself that you can recall taken a 3 on this hole?
I think never.
Okay.
I've only played it twice.
Okay.
And
so
I think
not,
I've got
not a lot of hard, but even in practice or anything?
in practice I've probably got some 3s.
Okay.
But I think in competition I've made 2 4s.
Okay. Well, that's a nice start.
Yeah, that was
Safe drive.
That was a good long forehand for me. I just play that again for position.
Yeah.
Just to get inbounds, make sure that I'm in play and see what I can do from there.
Nico going again with the big long turnover. Flattens out, doesn't flex out as much, but that's still
Really,
way
really,
up
really
there.
good.
And Rick's just keeps going too. It's going to be a little further left, but
I think that's a good angle though. He's got a big hyzer play from there. Oh, look at this wily veteran.
going roller again.
Yeah, getting the roller up the hill with the sidewinder.
Gonna try and test the crowd there, make sure they're awake.
And that really, I was really happy with how that shot worked.
That's a very nice shot. About how long out is that?
40,
Yeah.
yeah, 40 feet maybe. I'm just happy to get a look. Because from where I was, there's no hyzer play.
And Rick actually goes past the basket on that shot.
Yeah, he is really dominating this hole. Like, for how hard this hole is, Rick is on fire. Every time I've seen him play it, he's really doing well.
Not to be outdone, Paul goes past it as well, and just so much power coming up that hill from everyone.
Yeah. And Nico with the long drive.
Gets a friendly little skip. It
It's
looks
close.
like this. Yeah,
It's
oh yeah,
close.
he's good there.
I see this isn't easy playing with these guys. They're putting it right next to the basket on 858-foot uphill par fours.
And that's got to be a nice way to end the round. Little fist pump.
Yeah, that was probably my best putt of the day, and I was really happy to get that three because I had a feeling these guys were going to knock down some putts.
I did notice that 4 for the last couple birdie putts. 4 seems to be the magic number of flips. Just maybe don't keep that in your mind too much.
all
but
right.
It's probably not a conscious thing.
It absolutely isn't.
And we see Rick take the bird there, as does Nico.
This is history-making stuff. If Paul can hit this and go star frame.
And he does with that. That's got to be the first time you think that's ever
I
happened.
feel that's never been done before. I feel like 4 birdies there is not ever happening.
That's a tremendous way to end the round. Ricky is still going to go into tomorrow with 7 over Nico, 9 over Paul.
Man, I had a lot of good scores out there, a lot of birdies, but I just kept throwing out of bounds. And every time I threw out of bounds, it was a bogey or a double bogey. So, that kind of shot me in the foot there. There's 27 more holes, and basically I have to birdie all of them if I, want to win this.
And let's take a look at some stats today. You see, Paul was able to get on the green a little bit better, but those OBs, you and him, both you guys killed it a little bit on the OBs.
Yeah, and look at those scramble percentages. That's result of the OB. We go out of bounds. It's really tough to save a par, which is what a scramble is when you're taking a penalty.
Inconsistent round from mostly everyone. As we see the leaderboard change a bit, Nate, we will not be seeing you tomorrow. I'm sorry, but you'll still be here for the commentary.
Yeah, I'll be here. I just wanted to get a little taste. I saw the production value of these Jomez videos. I want to make sure I got in one.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take it. Well, thank you again for joining us today. We will see you back here tomorrow for the semifinals of the PDGA World Championships from Emporia, Kansas.